Hey guys, welcome back to another Clash Royale video, and today we're going to be talking about the next round of balance changes in Clash Royale. First, we're going to start out by sharing a couple of things that we know are probably going to be coming in the December balance update, and then afterwards, I'll share with you guys my very own balance update wish list and all the cards that I want to see buffed or nerfed in December. By the way, guys, the next balance update is coming on Monday, December the 3rd, about a week and a couple of days away from today. It's always the first Monday of every month after season reset. So what we know is most likely coming in December balance update. Well, about a month or so ago, the Remham tweeted out, he's the main kind of balance guy over at Clash Royale, that they had a few cards that they had changes planned for, but they were saving them for December because of the CRL World Finals. And he specified both the Royal Recruits and the Free Spell as being two cards that they had changes planned for, but they were saving for December. So more than likely, guys, we will see changes to both the Free Spell and the Royal Recruits in the December balance update. But that is what we know for sure. Let's go ahead here, guys, and dive into my very own balance update wish list. What cards do I want to see buffed or nerfed in December? By the way, guys, on the background over here, we have the website Royale API pulled up, and that way I have some raw stats to back up what I want to say in this video. By the way, these stats are for grand challenges. I got asked so many times in my previous balance update video, why am I using these stats for grand challenges and why don't I use these stats for ladder instead? When you are comparing the raw power of cards against each other and you want to determine if they need a buff or a nerf, you have to have an equal level playing field. Otherwise, your stats aren't reliable. Like on ladder, for example, you have different card levels. So a card might be over leveled and it might seem overpowered, but at equal level gameplay, it's actually weak. So if you want these stats to actually be reliable, you have to have an equal level playing field, which grand challenges do because of tournament standard. By the way, guys, if you are interested in this website, I will leave a link for it down in the description down below. It is a fantastic site for finding the best decks in the game. But anyways, guys, let's go ahead here and dive into my balance update wish list, starting out with the buff list first, because I honestly think buffing cards is a lot more fun than nerfing them. Obviously, there are a bunch of cards in the game right now that could actually use a buff, but I won't name all of them in this video, just a couple that I'm most interested in. The first and foremost, guys, is, of course, the Royal Recruits. Right now, literally one of the worst cards in the game, guys. This card came out in July, and it's still at the bottom. But they've already confirmed before that a change for the Royal Recruits is likely coming in the December balance update, so I would honestly expect a buff in December. I would be severely disappointed, guys, if there isn't a buff for recruits in December. Honestly, just make them 7 elixir and you are good to go. If they're still too strong or still weak, you can go ahead and balance in the next month after that. Now, the next card here on my buff wish list, guys, is the Giant Snowball. The Giant Snowball came out way back in June, even before the Royal Recruits ever existed, and they have never had a chance in the meta. Honestly, guys, we already have over 80 cards in Clash Royale. I don't see the point of adding new cards to the game if they're going to be weak, because we already have a bunch of these kind of weak cards right here on the bottom of the list. There's really no point to add more fluff into the game, because all it really does, it kind of just makes it harder and harder to get the good stuff out of your chest. So I really want to see the Giant Snowball have a place in the meta. My two ideas for buffing the Giant Snowball, number one is increase the slow duration, or number two, increase the damage and allow the Snowball to actually kill goblins in one shot. If they do that, maybe they have to kind of decrease the radius of the Snowball so it isn't too crazily strong. I know what some of you guys may already be thinking, Shane, if the Snowball is able to kill goblins in one shot, it would be way too overpowered and it would kind of just destroy bait meta like overall. My answer to that, guys, is the Log spell can kill goblins in one shot, and bait is still extremely powerful and strong. The whole idea of bait, obviously, is bait out the spell first, then punish with the Goblin Barrel afterwards. I honestly don't think if the Snowball can kill goblins in one shot, it'll kind of break the game. But I think we can all agree that a buff for the Snowball is definitely justified. Now, moving on, guys, the next card on my list right here is the Goblin Giant once again, kind of been out in the game for a couple of months now, has kind of never really had a place in the meta, even though it does have a 51% win ratio, which is pretty good. It has a 0% use rate, which to me says that probably only a very small set of pro players are actually using the Goblin Giant. Nobody else is using it. So kind of it's artificially increasing that win percentage by having good players only use it. What I would like to see for the Goblin Giant, kind of two changes I have in mind. Number one, increase the attack speed so he attacks a bit faster when he gets to a tower. And number two, make these Spear Goblins that spawn out after the Goblin Giant dies, make them spawn out a bit faster. Right now, I feel the Spear Goblins spawn out a bit slow, and normally kind of they're dead before they do anything at all. So my main two buffs for the Goblin Giant are a faster attack speed and the Spear Goblins spawning out a bit faster. The next card here on my buff wish list is over here, guys, the Sparky. The Sparky is obviously a legendary card, and being that it is a legendary card, it should be better than it is right now. Right now, it has a 1% use rate and a 29% win rate, which are extremely slow, especially with the introduction of the Elector Dragon being yet another counter for the Sparky. I definitely think the Sparky could use a bit of love in the December balance update. The next card I have on my list over here is the Magic Archer. This card was literally destroyed in the November balance update. Like, literally one of the worst cards in the game right now. It is absolutely insane how much that change hurt the Magic Archer. The funny thing is, the Magic Archer is a splash damage card, and it should be able to kill Swarm, but right now it can't. Like, it can't do anything. Watch the Magic Archer try and kill a skeleton army. What ends up happening is that first initial slower attack, every time it kills a target, it resets over and over again. So it's constantly having that slow initial attack speed on each skeleton or any swarm unit that it kills. And right now, it is a very clunky card to deal with. Now, I'm not too sure why this happens with the Magic Archer. I realized earlier on today, like, I could be wrong on this. Please correct me if I am wrong. But other cards in the game that have a slow initial attack speed, if they kill their target and retarget to another one, they don't reset that first initial attack speed. Perfect example, I think, are the Rascals. The Rascal Girls have a slower initial attack speed. But if you watch the Rascal Girls attack a skeleton army, they only had that slow initial attack speed for the first skeleton, and then afterwards, they have the faster attack speed even if they have a different target. Not too sure why the Magic Archer behaves differently, although I could be wrong on the mechanic altogether. Please let me know if I am. But honestly, guys, my solution to fix the Magic Archer is just undo the nerf in November. It was a really, really hard nerf, and the Magic Archer wasn't really that OP. He was a bit strong, but that was such a drastic nerf. Undo that nerf, guys, and nerf some other stat by a small amount if you have to. Now, the next card over here, guys, on my buff wish list is the Cannon card. This is a card that I was honestly very surprised to see it getting nerfed in November. In my opinion, it came out of nowhere. I honestly thought the Cannon card was a perfectly balanced card before November. Like, it's already had several nerfs beforehand, and it was nerfed yet again. I don't know, in my opinion, guys, it came out of nowhere. What I would do is kind of just undo the nerf that they did in November. Now, next card over here, guys, is, of course, the Freeze Spell. I think this card right here needs a redesign altogether. It's one of the only cards in the game that lasts longer on ladder and shorter on Tourney Standard, and it has different interactions versus ladder or equal level gameplay. So right here is a card that definitely needs it fixed. Not too sure what the perfect solution is, but hopefully it gets fixed in December as well. The Zappies are also on my buff list. Right now, they have a very, very slow initial first attack speed. Like, it's so awkward to use this card right now. Literally, watch a Zappy go up against a Prince or Fire Spirits. They sit there and they do nothing. Literally, a charging Prince, I say literally a lot in this video, a charging Prince will go in and just charge right into the face of the Zappy, and the Zappy sits there and does nothing at all. That is how slow the first attack speed is. It is a really awkward and clunky card to use right now. Honestly, I feel like when a card has a much slower initial attack speed versus their regular attack speed, it makes for like an overall kind of just like weird and awkward and clunky experience. Now, the next card, guys, on my buff wish list over here is the Giant Skeleton. I think the Giant Skeleton is a very, very cool card, but it has basically never had any time in the meta. So I really hope we get a buff for Giant Skeleton in December. Honestly, they could just do something simple, like increase his damage or his health. Or you can do my crazy idea that I mentioned before and change the Giant Skeleton into a win condition that only targets buildings. Now, obviously, if they do that, it is more like a redesign of the card, and they would have to change some of these stats of the Giant Skeleton to compensate, for example, decreasing the damage of the Giant Skeleton bomb. Now, moving on, guys, my list over here. Expo is pretty weak right now, but I don't want to see it buffed because I'm personally biased and I don't enjoy facing Expo decks. Now, moving on, guys, the next card over here on my buff wish list is the World Hogs. I don't know. I think they kind of over-nerfed the World Hogs just a bit. What I would do is I would give them a very, very small, like a 2% damage buff. Like, that's it. Just a very small damage buff. I think they got nerfed a bit too hard in November. Because here's the strange things, guys. They nerfed both the Magic Archer and the World Hogs because they said that Fireball Bait was too strong of a strategy. So they double nerfed the World Hogs and the Magic Archer. But here's the strange thing. Think to yourself, what has been a dominating, overwhelming Fireball Bait strategy for a lot longer in the game before the World Hogs or the Magic Archer ever existed? That answer is the 3 Musketeers. It's kind of weird how they nerfed Fireball Bait with the Magic Archer and the World Hogs, but they never touched the 3 Musketeers. So it kind of just seems strange overall that those 2 cards were nerfed pretty hard. Now, the next card over here on my buff wish list is the Mega Knight. The Mega Knight obviously was buffed in November, but it still does not have a place in the meta. It currently has a 32% win rate, which is extremely low. It is significantly losing a lot more than it wins. Honestly, when I go on every day to this website and look up at all of the top best decks in the game, the Mega Knight is never in there. It could still use a bit more love as well. What else is on my buff wish list, guys? We have the Giant. This is the last card here on my buff wish list. This is another card that the nerf kind of came out of nowhere. I was extremely shocked to see the nerf for the Giant. Honestly, I feel like every balance update, there's a couple of cards that make 0 sense, aka buffing the Ice Wizard way back in October. That made no sense then. This makes no sense now. If you would have asked me before November what I think was the most balanced card in the game, I honestly think I would have said the Giant. The Giant has been a staple in the game for a very long time. It wasn't extremely dominating. It was a good card, but it wasn't like overwhelming and overpowered. So I was so surprised to see a nerf for the Giant. Right now, the Royal Giant is a stronger card than the regular Giant. It is absolutely insane. I have no idea at all why this card was nerfed. If I had to guess, kind of a theory here, I think maybe they were trying to indirectly buff the Expo by nerfing both the Giant and the Cannon card. But I honestly think both of those cards didn't need a nerf at all. So my hope is they undo the nerf to the Giant, because 43% wins is very low, guys, and it loses a lot more right now than it wins. I just don't think it needed that nerf at all. And I hope, I hope they fix it. I hope they don't just ignore it and kind of just leave it that way, like for a long time, and we all kind of forget about it, because the nerf came out of nowhere, really. There are a ton of other cards in this game that should take priority for buffing or nerfing than the Giant, guys. The Giant was a balanced card, in my opinion. Now, I think that is the end of my list of buffing cards. Let's go ahead and take a look at my Nerf wish list. Number 1, guys, on my Nerf list is right here, actually. The Ice Wizard. I don't know. It came out of nowhere way back in October when they buffed the slow duration of the Ice Wizard. I just don't think it ever needed that buff. I understand they were trying to standardize the interaction of the slow between the Giant Snowball and the Ice Wizard, but it doesn't make sense to me to pick and choose certain interactions to be standardized and certain ones to be not. For example, Snowball and Ice Wizard have the same slow duration, but the Ice Golem does not. So why have only 2 out of 3 of the Ice cards have the same standardized interactions, whereas 1 card does not? It doesn't really make any sense to me to have only 2 cards be standardized instead of all 3. But I don't know. It is what it is, I guess, guys. So the next card over here, guys, on my Nerf wish list is done right here, guys. Look at this. The 3 Musketeers. I know a lot of you guys will disagree with me right now and probably already are leaving angry comments down below. But guys, there's no denying the 3 Musketeers have been an extremely popular and powerful and overwhelming card for a very long time. Like literally the past year. How many times have I said literally this video? Anyone know? The past year, guys, when I go online and look up the top decks in the game, you know what appears? 2 out of 3 of the top 3 decks? 3 Musketeers. It is always Giant 3M and the Minor 3M version as well. Those 2 decks are always 2 out of the 3 most popular decks in the game for the past year. They are such a powerful and overwhelming card. And it's funny because, like I said before, they nerfed the Magic Archer and the Royal Hogs because Fireball Bait was too strong. And yet this card right here has been Fireball Bait for way longer before Royal Hogs or Magic Archer ever existed, and they've never been touched. Right now, their win percentage is absolutely crazy at 57%, which honestly, guys, is insane. It doesn't make sense to me that the Magic Archer and the Royal Hogs were nerfed for Fireball Bait, but the 3 Musketeers are apparently okay. Now, obviously, this is a tough situation because you have another card over here, right down here, that isn't doing so well. And if you nerf the 3 Musketeers, you also nerf this card as well. So the question then becomes, how do you fix the 3 Musketeers without changing this card right here? Honestly, the ideal solution here is somehow, some way, you detach this card from the other one and maybe change the name. I don't know what you do, but you want to be able to change the stats of this card right here independently of the other one, and that way you can actually nerf the 3 Musketeers without hurting the regular Musketeer as well. Now, if they can't do that, I don't know what the perfect solution is, but I definitely think 3 Musketeers need a nerf for sure. The next card here, guys, on my nerf wish list, actually the last 4 cards on my nerf list over here. Number 1, Goblin Gang. Number 2, E-Dragon. Number 3, Balaram, and number 4, Barbarian Barrel. The Goblin Gang, guys, has been pretty dominating for a very long time. Like, Swarm Bait has been powerful. Like, whenever you have Goblin Gang, Spear Goblins, Bats, and Minion Horde in a deck, it is a strong strategy. What I would do for the Goblin Gang is make it spawn 3 Spear Goblins and 2 Stab Goblins instead. I don't know if that would kill the card or not, but I feel like it could use a small nerf as well. Now, obviously, the Elector Dragon, I don't think anyone can deny that it is a very strong card right now, and it could use a small nerf as well. I hope they don't over nerf it. I think it's a really cool card and a fun card to use, so I hope it isn't over nerfed. What I would do, in theory, is give it a small health nerf. Make it so it would still survive a fireball in one shot, but maybe a small health nerf would help that card. Now, the next card over here, guys, is the Balaram, second most popular card in the game right now, with a 36% use rate and a 56% win rate. That is crazy high. It is a very powerful card. I think way back, like many months ago, they standardized the charge time interaction of all of the charging cards, the Princess and the Balaram. And I think what happened then was the Princess charged slower and the Balaram ended up charging faster. I think, if I'm correct in remembering that, I think a nerf for the Balaram is justified. It is a very powerful card right now, guys. What I would do is just kind of give it a small health decrease on the Balaram itself. Now, the last card on my nerf list over here is the Barbarian Barrel, guys. This card, literally in every deck in the game right now, it is crazy how much this card took over the meta. My solution for the Barbarian Barrel is a pretty simple one. Decrease the damage so it isn't able to kill archers in one shot. I think that's kind of a good starting point of nerfing the Barbarian Barrel, and you also at the same time indirectly buff the archers as well. Now, that is the end of my buff nerf wish list. Now, for some of you guys that are saying, Shane, 3 Musketeers, you're wrong. I have another chart over here that I want to share with you guys very quickly. I found this on Reddit. Huge shout out to Alp, who is the Reddit poster that created this image. Right here is an image that illustrates the win rate relationship of the top 10 most popular decks in grand challenges right now. Now, it's pretty confusing at first. I'll try my very best to explain it to you guys and what it means. Basically, the connections between each card illustrates the net win percentage of that matchup. The bigger the connection, the more that card has an advantage. The outer circle of this chart here is kind of like a popularity pie chart. The bigger the circle, the more popular the card is. So, for example, P.E.K.K.A over here is the most popular card. 3 Musketeers is second most popular. You have Golem over here being third, Miner being fourth, Leatherhound being fifth, and the Hog Rider is last. So the outer circle, guys, is a popularity in terms of how popular they are of the top 10 decks. And as I mentioned before, guys, the connection between the colors indicates that that card has an advantage in that matchup. The bigger the connection, the more of an advantage it has. So, for example, 3 Musketeers has a huge connection over here to P.E.K.K.A. What that means is 3 Musketeers is an absolute hard counter for P.E.K.K.A decks. Also, P.E.K.K.A, guys, you see right here, it goes over to Golem, meaning P.E.K.K.A counters Golem, and it also means P.E.K.K.A counters Hog Rider and Miner. P.E.K.K.A does not counter Lava Hound, for example, right? You see the green of the Lava Hound, the green goes to Hog Rider over here, so Lava Hound counters Hog Rider, the green goes to a Miner, and it goes to P.E.K.K.A as well. The smaller the connection means it only has a slight advantage in that matchup. For example, over here, Lava Hound has a very tiny, almost unnoticeable advantage over Golem. Like, it's so close that it would almost be like a 49 to 51% difference in the matchup. But the biggest takeaway from this chart, I know it's very confusing and I'm sorry that I didn't explain it well. The biggest takeaway from this chart, guys, is 3 Musketeers dominates everything. Look at this. 3 Musketeers counters Golem, counters Lava Hound, counters Hog Rider, and counters P.E.K.K.A. The only thing it does not counter is Miner Control. The other takeaway, guys, is the poor old Hog Rider has no advantages. Literally, it loses every matchup. So that overall, guys, is a pretty cool chart. It's a really kind of cool way to illustrate the win rate relationships of the top 10 decks in the game right now. Kind of pretty cool stuff. Overall, guys, like I said before, 3 Musketeers is very, very strong right now. Now, the main reason why 3 Musketeers are strong is because this card right here, the Elector Dragon right now is so strong that more decks are using Lightning Spell. And what that means is with Lightning Spell being in the meta, it gives the Musketeers a chance to shine. However, all that does is indicate more that the 3 Musketeers are the true Fireball bait card. Because when you have a slight dip in Fireball usage and a slight increase in Lightning Spell usage, now these 3 Musketeers are dominating, right? Like, you would think the Royal Hogs would be dominating right now with Lightning Spell being in the meta, but it's not. 3 Musketeers, guys, are the true cause of the Fireball bait. Anyways, guys, that is the end of my list and my speech. I know many of you guys probably disagree with a lot of things on my list. Let me know, guys, down below, which cards on my list did you agree with or disagree with, or if you guys have your own balance update wish list, what cards are you hoping to see changed in the December balance update? But guys, that is the end of the video. Really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to some Clash Royale content. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We will see you in the next one.